I used to believe my life was perfect. A good job, a loving wife, a loyal best friend, everything a man could ask for. Now when I look back, I realize perfection is just the prettiest disguise for lies. "Hey, you're home early," Lena said as I stepped into the kitchen. The scent of garlic and butter filled the air. She smiled, a little too fast, wiping her hands on a towel. "Traffic wasn't bad today," I said, setting my bag down. "You cooked?" She laughed lightly. "Don't sound so surprised." "I can still make dinner, you know." "I never doubted that," I replied, kissing her cheek. She smelled like vanilla and something faintly metallic, maybe the keys she always twirled in her fingers. Ryan's voice echoed from the living room. "Ethan, you made it!" I was just telling Lena about the new project downtown. I turned to see him lounging on my couch like he owned it, holding a beer. "Of course you were," I said. "You always talk shop before you even say hi," he grinned. "Old habits." "Come on, man, sit. You've got to see the renders." Lena brought over 3 plates, setting them on the coffee table. "You two can talk business later." "Eat first," Ryan winked at her. "Yes, ma'am." Something about that wink made me laugh, but only halfway. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was tired. We ate together, like we had dozens of times. Ryan cracked jokes. Lena laughed a little too long. When his phone buzzed, he flipped it over quickly, smiling at me like nothing happened. "So, how's Sarah?" Lena asked, stabbing her fork into the salad. Ryan hesitated just a second. "Good, busy with her clinic. She's thinking of starting yoga again." "That's nice," I said. "You two always find time for each other." "Yeah," he said, looking at Lena for a moment too long. "We try." Lena looked away, pretending to check the oven. I watched her shoulders tense. After dinner, Ryan stood up, patting my back. "Man, you've got a great life here. I envy you sometimes." "Don't," I said. "You've got your own," he chuckled. "Yeah, I guess." "See you tomorrow?" "Sure," I said. "And tell Sarah I said hi." When he left, Lena sighed softly. "He's been around a lot lately." "You don't like it?" I asked. She hesitated. "No, it's fine. It's just, you talk more to him than you talk to me sometimes. That stung." "That's not fair." "I'm not blaming you," she said quickly. "I just miss us." Her words softened me. I reached for her hand. "Then let's fix that. Dinner, just us, Friday night. No work talk." She smiled faintly. "Okay." Later, when she went to shower, her phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up, Ryan Carter. I froze. My first thought wasn't suspicion, it was confusion. Why would he text her? He'd just left. Then the phone buzzed again. I didn't touch it. I told myself it was probably about the project. That's what I wanted to believe. When Lena came out, she saw the glow on the counter and grabbed the phone fast. "Work message," she said before I asked. I nodded. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she said too quickly. "Go to bed, I'll join you in a minute." I went upstairs, but my mind wouldn't stop running. I kept hearing their laughter at dinner, kept seeing that shared glance I tried to ignore. I told myself I was paranoid. I trusted them both. I had to. The next morning, she was already dressed when I woke. "You're up early," I said. "Yoga class," she replied, slipping on her shoes. "Since when?" "Since today." "Gotta start somewhere," I smiled. "I'll make coffee when you're back." She kissed my forehead, her lips cool. "Don't wait up." When she left, I stood by the window watching her drive off. I didn't see a yoga mat. At the office, Ryan acted like nothing was strange. "Man, you should have seen Sarah this morning." She was up before sunrise doing stretches. I told her I'd rather stretch my sleep. He laughed. I forced a smile. "So both our wives decided to start yoga today?" "That's a coincidence," he blinked, then nodded. "Yeah, weird, right?" I studied his face, too calm, too casual. My chest felt tight, but I pushed the thought away. After work, I stopped by Ryan's house to drop off a file. Sarah opened the door. She looked surprised. "Ethan!" "I thought Ryan was with you." "He left before me," I said. "Maybe he's on the way," she frowned. "He said he was meeting you for drinks." We both stood there for a moment, trying to piece something invisible together. When I got home, Lena was in the kitchen again. "You're late," she said. "So are you," I answered softly. She froze, then smiled. "Traffic." "Of course," I said. I kissed her cheek again. It tasted like guilt. But I told myself it was just my imagination. That night, lying beside her, I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, You're lucky. Ethan, you have a beautiful wife, a loyal friend, a good life. The words sounded right, but they felt wrong, and somewhere deep down, I think I already knew. The perfect life I was clinging to was already falling apart. The rain started before I even left the airport. I remember thinking it was strange. Seattle rain usually came in slow waves, not heavy sheets. Maybe it was a warning, but I didn't listen. The business trip had been canceled last minute, and I thought I'd surprise Lena. I bought her lilies, her favorite. The florist wrapped them in silver paper that crinkled softly when I carried them. I kept imagining her smile. When I reached the house, all the lights were off except the one upstairs. Her car sat in the driveway. No sound, no TV, no music. Just rain. Lena? I called, stepping inside. The air smelled of perfume, too strong, like someone had sprayed it to hide something. My shoes squeaked on the floor. Babe, I'm home early. Silence. I walked toward the stairs, holding the flowers tighter. You awake? The light under the bedroom door flickered. I pushed it open slowly, and then everything stopped. Ryan's jacket was on the chair. My heart froze. My hand went numb. I heard her laugh, soft, breathless, and then I saw them. Lena, my wife. In my bed, with him. Ryan's voice low and rough. Say my name again, she did. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I just stood there, stuck between disbelief and reality. The flowers slipped from my hand. The sound of them hitting the floor made them both turn. Lena gasped. Ethan, Ryan jumped up, dragging the blanket around his waist. Man, it's not what it looks like, I laughed. It came out broken. Not what it looks like? You're in my house, in my bed, with my wife? What the hell do you think it looks like? Please, Lena whispered, covering herself. Please, let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said, my voice shaking. I just need to understand how long. How long, Lena? She started crying. I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't say that, I cut in. You don't trip and fall into someone's arms. Especially not his, Ryan stepped forward. Ethan, calm down. Oh, don't you dare say my name, I snapped. You're supposed to be my brother. He looked down. I didn't plan this, man. It just happened. We were both lonely. Lonely. I laughed bitterly. You have a wife. I have a wife. You two had each other and you call it loneliness? Lena sobbed harder. Ethan, I love you, I do. Love? I whispered. You don't love me. You just didn't want to lose what I gave you. She reached for me. Please don't leave. We can fix this. Fix. I said softly. You can't fix dead things, Lena, and something died tonight. Ryan stepped closer, trying to look remorseful. Let me talk to you, just man to man. I turned on him. Man to man? You stopped being a man when you touched her. He clenched his jaw. I made a mistake. No, you made choices, I interrupted. Mistakes are accidents. This was months of lying, hiding, pretending. How long were you laughing at me behind my back? Neither of them answered. Just silence, broken by the sound of the rain hitting the window. I looked at Lena one last time. Her face was pale, her eyes red. The woman I married felt like a stranger now. You used to say I was your piece, I said quietly. So why did you destroy it? She broke down, shaking. I don't know. I was scared, lost. I thought you didn't love me anymore. I nodded slowly. So you went to the one person who knew me best. That's clever, Ryan muttered. Ethan, please, man, don't make this worse. I stared at him. You already did. I walked toward the door, my chest tight. My hand brushed the doorknob, but I stopped. You know, I trusted you more than anyone. You were my family. He said nothing. I turned back once. You'll regret this. Maybe not today, but someday. Lena sobbed into the blanket. Ethan, don't go. Please don't leave like this. Like this? I said, my voice breaking. How else should I leave, Lena? Should I stay and pretend I didn't see my best friend inside you? Her cry filled the room. It was the sound of something breaking for good. I stepped out into the hallway. The smell of perfume still lingered. The lilies lay crushed on the floor, petals scattered like tiny white lies. Downstairs, my reflection in the mirror didn't look like me anymore. My eyes were hollow. My hands trembled. When I opened the door, the rain hit me hard, cold and sharp. I didn't use an umbrella. I wanted the water to wash everything away. The smell, the sight, the sound of her voice. Behind me, I heard her calling my name. But I didn't turn around. On the porch, I stopped and whispered, "This is how a heart dies." The wind swallowed my words. I walked down the driveway, the rain soaking through my shirt, each drop hitting like a memory. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. Halfway down the street, I turned back. The house looked small and unfamiliar. The light in the bedroom flickered once, then went dark. I whispered to myself, "You did this to yourself, Ethan. You trusted too much." A car passed by, splashing water over my shoes, but I didn't move. I stood there until I couldn't see the house anymore through the rain. By the time I reached my car, my hands were numb, my breath shallow. I sat behind the wheel, staring at the steering column, unable to start it. For a long time, I just sat there, listening to the rain drumming on the roof, and when I finally started the engine, I didn't cry. I couldn't. There was nothing left inside me to cry with. The man who walked into that house had a wife and a best friend. I stopped counting the days after the fifth one. The world felt slower, heavier. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Lena's face, Ryan's hands, the sound of my own silence breaking inside my chest. The phone rang again. I didn't answer. My parents had called every day since it happened. I didn't want to talk. What could I say? "Hey, Mom, Dad, the people I trusted most ruined me?" I sat by the window of a small cafe, staring at the rain outside. My coffee had gone cold. Then I heard someone say my name. "Ethan." I looked up. Sarah Carter stood there, pale and trembling, holding her umbrella like she didn't know what to do with it. "Sarah," I said quietly. "Can I sit?" I nodded. She slid into the seat across from me, her eyes red and tired. "I thought maybe I'd see you here," she said softly. "You used to come here with Ryan sometimes." "Not anymore." She gave a small, broken laugh. "Yeah, I figured." We both sat in silence for a while. The sound of rain filled the space between us. Then she spoke. "I know." I looked at her. "Know what?" She met my eyes. "About them. I saw the messages, pictures. He left his phone unlocked one night." "I didn't even mean to look, but—" Her voice cracked. "You don't mistake words like that." I swallowed hard. "So it's true. You saw proof," she nodded. I didn't want to believe it. I kept telling myself maybe it was old, maybe it didn't mean anything. But then I saw the date. It was from last week. I stared at my reflection in the window. I thought I was the only fool. "No," she whispered. "Looks like we're both fools." We both laughed bitterly at the same time, and it felt strange, like grief had found its echo. She leaned forward. "How long have you known?" "Since that night. I came home early." My voice shook as I said it. "I saw them." Her eyes widened. "You saw everything," I said. "There's no unseeing it." Sarah pressed her hand to her mouth. "I'm sorry. Don't be." "You didn't do it." She nodded slowly. "Still, it hurts knowing they did this to both of us. Like it wasn't enough to destroy one home. They had to burn two." I stared down at my cold coffee. "Yeah, they burned everything. And they didn't even look back." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, "Do you still love her?" I took a long breath. "I don't know what I feel anymore. Love, hate, maybe both. It's like trying to hold on to smoke." She nodded. "I understand." I looked at her. "And you, Ryan?" Her lips tightened. "The man I married doesn't exist anymore. I keep wondering if he ever did." We sat there again in silence, and for the first time since that night, it didn't feel unbearable. After a few minutes, she asked, "Do you ever want to make them feel it? The pain?" Her question hung in the air like thunder waiting to break. "I've thought about it," I admitted. "But revenge doesn't fix hearts. It just gives you something to do while you're dying inside." She gave a faint, sad smile. "Maybe. But sometimes doing something is the only way to survive." The rain outside turned heavier, streaking down the glass like tears neither of us wanted to shed. She looked at me again. "They took everything from us." I held her gaze. Something in her tone, quiet, certain, made the words echo deep inside me. "No," I said after a moment. "Not everything." Her eyes softened. "What's left?" I looked down at our hands resting on the table. My fingers were trembling. Hers reached over and steadied them. "This," I said quietly. "The truth. The fact that we survived it." For a second, neither of us moved. The cafe felt warmer, or maybe just less cold. She pulled her hand back slowly. You're stronger than I thought. I gave a tired smile. You don't know me yet. Maybe I want to, she said. Something in her voice, soft but steady, cut through the fog in my chest. For the first time since that night, I felt something close to peace. Not much, but enough to breathe. When we finally stood to leave, she said, "You'll call me?" "I will." We stepped outside together into the fading rain. For the first time, I didn't mind the weather, because for the first time, I wasn't walking alone. I didn't recognize the man staring back at me anymore. The mirror showed someone sharper, colder, like grief had burned away everything soft in me. My eyes looked older, my jaw tighter. The Ethan who smiled easily was gone. At work, people said I seemed different, focused, driven. Maybe they were right. Pain has a way of making you productive. Tom, a junior architect on my team, leaned over my desk one morning. "Man, you've been on fire lately. New designs, new contracts? What's the secret?" "Insomnia," I said. He laughed, not realizing I wasn't joking. "Whatever it is, it's working. You might get that promotion next quarter." "Maybe." I glanced at my phone, half expecting a message that would tear open the wound again. Nothing, just silence, and I'd learned to live with that. Later that evening, Sarah called. "Coffee?" she asked. "I need to get out of my head for a bit." I hesitated for a second, then said, "Yeah, I could use that too." We met at the same cafe, the one that had somehow become ours. She looked better, or maybe just less broken. "Rough day?" she asked. "Every day's rough," I said, sitting down. "But I'm getting used to it." She gave a faint smile. "You sound like you're learning how to live again." "Trying to," I said. "Mostly I just work. It keeps me from thinking." Sarah sipped her coffee, eyes locked on mine. "And when you're not working?" "I think about them," I admitted. "How easily they moved on. How public they are about it now. Photos, dinners, posts, like nothing happened." She clenched her cup so tightly I thought it might break. "Ryan took me to that same restaurant once. The one where he took her last week." I nodded. "I saw the pictures." Her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "I don't even know what hurts more, losing him or realizing he was never mine." "Both," I said quietly. "It's both." We sat there for a while just breathing. Then she whispered, "We can't let them keep doing this. Not after what they took." Her words hit like a spark in dry grass. "What are you saying?" I asked. "I'm saying," she said, voice steady now, "we stop being victims." That night something changed. It started small. Whispers, shared screenshots, half-formed plans. We didn't talk about revenge directly at first. It was more like therapy that turned into strategy. "Ryan's company still working with Monroe Developments?" I asked one evening. "Yeah," she said. "Why?" "Because Monroe's bidding on a project my firm's designing. And Ryan's been using inside info to get ahead for months. I've got proof." She looked at me, surprise flickering behind her anger. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," I said. "He's been cheating professionally, too. I can end that deal with one email." Sarah's lips curved slightly. "Then do it." I didn't that night. I waited. Because revenge, I was learning, wasn't about speed. It was about precision. Days turned into weeks. Work became my weapon. Every success felt like a piece of my old self being rebuilt, brick by brick, colder but stronger. One evening, Tom stopped by my office. "You're staying late again." "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just finishing a few plans." He paused. "You've changed, man." "Used to laugh more." I met his eyes. "Guess I ran out of reasons." When he left, I turned off the lights and stared out at Seattle's skyline. Below me, the city pulsed, people moving, living, betraying, surviving. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. "Sarah, you awake?" Me. "Yeah, Sarah, I did it." I told Monroe everything. Me. "Then it begins." When we met a few days later, she looked almost calm. "I thought it'd feel worse," she said. "But it doesn't." "Because you took control," I told her. She smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who's done this before." "Maybe I'm just learning." We walked by the waterfront, the air cold but clear. She stopped suddenly. "Do you ever wonder what happens after revenge?" "Maybe nothing," I said. "Maybe we just get to breathe again." Her eyes softened. "I'd like that." She reached out, her fingers brushing mine. I didn't pull away. For a second, it felt wrong, like touching something fragile that shouldn't exist. But then she held my hand tighter. "You're not alone in this," she said. "I know," I whispered. "And that scares me." "Why?" "Because I don't trust myself anymore." She smiled sadly. "Neither do I." We stood there watching our reflections in the dark water. I saw two strangers, both broken, both dangerous, both becoming something new. The man staring back at me wasn't Ethan Miller anymore. He was something else, someone capable of finishing what heartbreak started. "Do you see this?" Sarah slid a folder across my kitchen table, her voice trembling with equal parts fury and excitement. I flipped it open. Bank statements, forged contracts, invoices under my name. My breath caught. "He used my credentials?" "Every one of those fake projects was signed off as yours," she said. "Ryan's been siphoning money through ghost accounts. He stole from Monroe, from his partners, from you." I stared at the papers, jaw tight. So the betrayal wasn't just in my bed. It was in my work, too. Sarah nodded slowly. "He's built his success on lies, Ethan." I clenched my fists. "Then we'll burn his empire with truth." She leaned back, eyes meeting mine. "You're serious about this?" "I've never been more serious." We started digging. Long nights at my apartment, laptops open, notes scattered everywhere. The room smelled of coffee and exhaustion. Every keystroke was another memory stripped of warmth. Sarah whispered, "You ever think about stopping?" "Sometimes," I said. Then I remember that night. "And I can't!" She looked down at her hands. "I still wake up expecting him to be there. Then I realize I'm better off alone." "You're not alone," I said before I could stop myself. Her eyes softened. "Neither are you." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, full of things we didn't dare name. By the third week, we had everything. Evidence of Ryan's fraud, false reports, and even emails linking Lena to a few shady deals. She wasn't just a cheater. She was complicit. Sarah said, "He's meeting Monroe's new potential investor on Friday." We could use that, I looked up. "You want to bait him?" "You'd play the investor," she said, lips curving slightly. "We'll use your new shell company." "He won't recognize it," I hesitated. "If he figures it out, he won't. He's too arrogant." Friday came fast. I dressed in a tailored gray suit, the kind that made me look like the man Ryan pretended to be. The conference room smelled of polished wood and expensive deceit. Tom helped set it up, unaware of what was about to happen. "You sure about this client?" he asked. "Completely," I said. When Ryan walked in, I almost forgot how to breathe. He looked the same, confident, well-groomed, with that fake charm that once fooled me. He didn't recognize me right away. "Mr. Stone," he said, shaking my hand. "Pleasure to finally meet." "Monroe's told me great things." "Likewise," I said, hiding the storm inside my chest. "Let's talk business." He launched into his pitch, smooth and polished. His voice hadn't changed, still the same tone he used when lying about everything. "We've got ongoing partnerships, strong cash flow, and excellent client retention," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Client retention? Interesting considering the files I've reviewed suggest otherwise." His smile faltered. "I'm sorry?" I slid a folder toward him, his fake contracts, his forged signatures. His eyes darted across the pages, confusion twisting into horror. "Where did you get this?" he asked, voice dropping. I leaned forward. "You tell me, Ryan, or should I call you my former best friend?" The color drained from his face. "Ethan, don't," I said sharply. "Don't say my name like you still have the right to," he stammered. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I cut in. "You stole from me, lied to me, slept with my wife, and now you're selling your lies to people who trusted you." His hands shook. "Ethan, please, you know what the funny part is?" I said, voice calm now. "You thought I'd stay broken, that I'd never come back. But here I am, your investor, your judge, and maybe your executioner." Ryan looked at the door, panic rising. "What do you want?" "Nothing you can give," I said. "I already took it back." He stood abruptly. "This isn't over." "Oh, it is," I said quietly. "Because tomorrow Monroe will get those documents. So will your partners. And when the dust settles, you'll have nothing left but guilt, if you still have that." He froze, eyes wild. "You're making a mistake." "No," I said, standing. "I'm correcting one." He left, slamming the door so hard it echoed through my chest. Tom walked in a few seconds later, startled. "What the hell was that?" "Business," I said. When the room emptied, I sat down, shaking. My pulse was still racing, but for the first time, it wasn't from pain. It was power. Sarah called a few minutes later. "Did it work?" "It worked," I said. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Her soft laugh cracked through the tension. "Then it's done." "Not yet," I said. "He'll fight back." "But we're ready." There was silence on the line, then her voice softened. "Ethan, are you okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I thought I'd feel satisfied. But all I feel is empty." "Pain doesn't disappear," she whispered. "It just changes shape." I closed my eyes. "Then maybe that's what we are, two people reshaped by pain." "Maybe," she said. "But tonight, we won." And as I hung up, I realized she was right. For the first time since that night, I wasn't the broken one. I was the one holding the pieces and deciding where they'd fall. The morning it all fell apart, I didn't need to do anything. Karma handled the cleanup. Sarah burst into my office, breathless. "It's everywhere," she said, waving her phone. "Every news outlet's covering it." I took her phone and read the headline aloud. "Ryan Carter under investigation for fraud and embezzlement." My voice came out flat, but my heart was racing. She grinned through trembling lips. "You did it." "No," I said quietly. "He did." The TV in the corner showed Ryan being hounded by reporters. His perfect hair was messy, his confident smile gone. One reporter shouted, "Is it true you forged contracts using Ethan Miller's credentials?" He snapped, "No comment," before pushing through the crowd. Sarah laughed, not out of joy, but disbelief. "He's drowning in his own lies." "Good," I said, leaning back. "It's about time." Over the next few days, the story spread like wildfire. Every email, every client connection tied to Ryan collapsed. Monroe Developments dropped him within hours. By the end of the week, his company was dust. Tom came to my desk with a smirk. "Hey boss, you seeing this? That guy Ryan Carter. Isn't that the same name from your college stories?" I kept my expression neutral. "Yeah, that's him." "Guess he wasn't as smart as he thought," Tom said. "Good riddance." When he left, I whispered under my breath, "You have no idea." That evening, Sarah came over. The air between us felt different, calmer but heavy. She placed a bottle of wine on the counter. "I thought maybe we could celebrate." "Celebrate what?" I asked. "Their destruction or our survival?" "Both," she said softly. "Maybe one means the other." We sat on the porch as the sun went down, the city lights flickering to life. She handed me a glass. "To karma," she said. "To karma," I echoed. "And to not having to dirty our hands," she smiled faintly. "It's strange, isn't it? Watching them destroy each other?" "Strange," I said, "but satisfying." She sipped her wine. "Do you think they blame each other?" "They have to," I said. "It's the only thing they've got left." She showed me a text on her phone. "Lena messaged me," she said. My chest tightened. "What did she say?" "She asked if I knew you had something to do with this." I laughed bitterly. "Of course she did. She'll blame anyone but herself." Sarah looked at me carefully. "Did you answer?" "I didn't need to," she said. "She'll figure it out when she looks in the mirror." A quiet moment passed. Then she whispered, "Do you think this makes us bad people?" I took a deep breath. "No, it makes us survivors. Bad people destroy others for gain. We just took back what was stolen." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I want to believe that." The night was peaceful for once. No shouting, no guilt, no ghosts. Just the hum of the city and the faint clinking of our glasses. Later, when she started dozing off on the couch, I watched her, the woman who'd lost everything the same night I did. The pain still lingered, but it had changed shape, softer around the edges. Around midnight, she stirred. "I had a nightmare," she murmured. "He was back, Ryan. He kept saying I ruined him." "You didn't," I said. "He ruined himself," she looked up at me. "Then why do I still feel guilty?" "Because you still care," I said quietly. "That's what makes you human," she sighed. "And you? Do you still care?" I thought for a moment. "I care that I'm finally breathing again. I care that you're here. That's enough for now." Days later, the fallout worsened. Ryan's partners filed lawsuits. Lena's design firm, the one she bragged about, lost clients overnight. Photos of them arguing in public flooded social media. One clip showed Ryan shouting, "You ruined me, Lena!" And she yelled back, You did this to yourself. Sarah and I watched it together on her phone, half stunned. She whispered, "They're turning on each other." "Let them," I said. "They built their house on lies." "It's only fair it collapses on them," she exhaled slowly. Fair, that word used to mean nothing. Now it does. That night she asked if she could stay for a while, just until things calmed down. "Of course," I said. "You don't even have to ask." The first few nights were awkward. She'd toss and turn, sometimes crying quietly. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat beside her until the storm passed. One morning I woke before sunrise. She was standing outside on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the horizon. "Couldn't sleep?" I asked. She shook her head. "No nightmares tonight, just quiet." I stood next to her, watching the sky shift from gray to gold. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "I forgot mornings could look like this." "Me too," I admitted. For a long moment, we said nothing. The sun rose higher, and with it came a strange peace. Not joy, not victory, just peace. Sarah whispered, "The world isn't kind, is it?" "No," I said. "But it's fair." She turned to me and smiled faintly. "Then maybe that's enough." And as the light washed over us, I realized she was right. The pain hadn't vanished. It had simply become something I could live with. Karma didn't fix me. It just leveled the field, and for now, that was all I needed. I didn't expect her to show up again. Not after everything that burned down. When I opened the door that morning, Lena stood there, pale, trembling, mascara streaked down her face. She looked like someone who'd finally run out of places to hide. "Ethan," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please, don't shut the door. I need to talk." I leaned against the frame, silent. She swallowed hard. "I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I had nowhere else to go." I said nothing. My silence was the only thing I had left to protect. Finally, she blurted out, "Ryan's gone." "He left me," I raised an eyebrow. "For who?" "A client," she said bitterly. "Someone younger. Someone who doesn't ask questions." I nodded once. "Karma moves fast these days." Her eyes welled up again. "I deserve that." "But Ethan?" "Please, just listen." I made a mistake. The biggest one of my life. I crossed my arms. Which part was the mistake? Sleeping with him? Lying to me? Or pretending it was love? She winced. "All of it." The room filled with silence. I could hear her breathing, shallow, desperate. "I thought he loved me," she said quietly. "I thought I'd finally found someone who made me feel alive. But he used me just like he used everyone." I didn't answer. "I lost everything," she continued. "My job, my reputation, my friends. No one will even look me in the eye anymore." "Now you know how it feels," I said. She stepped closer. "I didn't come for pity. I came to say I'm sorry." "For which part?" I asked again. She flinched but held her ground. "For betraying you. For breaking something good. I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to tell you I'm sorry." Her voice cracked on the last word. I studied her face. The same eyes I once memorized. The lips I used to kiss without hesitation. Now they just looked like fragments of a life I no longer wanted. "Why now?" I asked. "Why not when I was the one bleeding?" "Because I was too proud," she whispered, "and too stupid to realize what I'd lost." I took a slow breath. "You didn't lose me, Lena. You threw me away." She shook her head, tears spilling freely. "I know. I hate myself for it every day." For a moment, the anger I'd buried started to stir. But it wasn't rage anymore, just exhaustion. "You always had a way with apologies," I said quietly. "But they come after the damage. They always come too late." "I'm not asking for another chance," she said quickly. "I just want you to know that I remember who you were to me. The good man, the patient one, the one who believed in me when no one else did." I gave a humorless laugh. "That man's gone, Lena," she blinked. "Then who am I talking to?" "Someone who finally learned what love isn't." Her lip trembled. "You really can't forgive me?" "I could," I said softly. "But forgiveness doesn't erase memory. And love doesn't survive betrayal." She stared at me, searching for something in my eyes. Maybe mercy. Maybe weakness. But there was nothing left to find. "I miss you," she whispered. "I don't," I said. The words left my mouth calm, without venom. And that's when I realized they were true. She took a shaky step back. So that's it? You're just done? I was done the day you chose him, I said. Everything after that was just aftermath. She pressed a hand to her mouth. I deserve this, she whispered. No one deserves it, I said. But we all earn it. Her eyes darted around the room, the pictures on the wall, the faint smell of coffee, pieces of the life she once shared. Do you ever think about what we had? She asked quietly. Sometimes, I admitted. But only to remind myself how far I've come. She nodded slowly. Then I guess that's my punishment, remembering what I destroyed. When she turned toward the door, I didn't stop her. Goodbye, Ethan, she said softly. Goodbye, Lena. The door clicked shut behind her. No tears, no shaking hands. Just silence. For a long moment I stood there, waiting for the ache that used to come after every confrontation. But it didn't. There was nothing left to ache for. That's when it hit me. Revenge isn't fire. It doesn't burn. It frees. When I finally sat down, I felt lighter than I had in years. By the time I got home, Sarah was in the kitchen stirring soup. She looked up the moment I entered. You saw her, didn't you? I nodded. She cried. Of course, Sarah set down the spoon. And you? I didn't. She walked closer, her eyes gentle. Are you okay? I took a deep breath. I think I am. She searched my face for a moment. Did you forgive her? I let her go, I said. That's better. She smiled faintly. Then maybe now you can finally breathe. Maybe, I said, though I think I already started. We stood there quietly. The air smelled like rosemary and calm. Sarah reached for my hand. You don't have to explain, she said softly. I know. I looked at her, really looked, and saw something in her eyes I hadn't recognized before. Peace. Maybe even love. Thank you, I whispered. For what? For staying when everything else fell apart. She squeezed my hand. You don't thank someone for choosing you. You just choose them back, I smiled. A real one this time. Then I do. She leaned against me, and for the first time in a long while, the silence between us didn't feel empty. It felt earned. A year changes more than I thought possible. The man staring back at me in the mirror now isn't haunted. He's whole. The shadows under my eyes are gone, replaced by calm lines earned through sleepless nights that finally gave way to peace. My name means something again, not in business reports or awards, but in my own heart. Tom always says I look different now. You don't flinch when people say Ryan's name anymore, he told me last week. He's right. Ryan's just a memory, a closed chapter in a book that no longer hurts to open. Tonight, the fire crackles softly in the living room. Sarah's beside me on the couch, her legs tucked under a blanket, a half-empty mug of cocoa in her hands. The air smells like pine and cinnamon, my small attempt to make winter feel warm. She looks at me with a quiet smile. You're thinking again. I always am, I say. She chuckles. That's your problem. Even peace makes you analyze it. I grin faintly. Old habit. Her eyes drift toward the firelight. Can you believe it's been a year? A lifetime, I say. And yet, just yesterday. She nods slowly. I still remember that night in the cafe. You could barely speak. And I was trying not to break in front of you. I remember, I whisper. Two broken people pretending to be okay. Now look at us. I tilt my head. We're not pretending anymore. Sarah smiles, eyes soft. Do you ever think we were meant to find each other that way? I don't know, I admit. But maybe pain was the only language we both understood back then. She leans closer, resting her chin on her hand. And now? Now, I say, I think we've learned a better one. She laughs quietly, that small, genuine sound I never get tired of. It still amazes me how laughter returned to my life after I thought it had died for good. Outside, the wind moves through the trees. Inside, the fire paints the room gold. Do you ever hear from them? She asks. Sometimes, I say. Not directly. News travels. Ryan tried starting another firm under a fake name. It crashed within months. Lena's been in and out of jobs and relationships. Sarah exhales slowly. They're still running from themselves. Yeah. I stare into the fire. They built their world on lies. It was only a matter of time before it buried them. Do you ever feel sorry for them? She asks softly. I pause. No, but I don't hate them anymore either. She looks surprised. You don't? I did, for a long time. But hate's heavy. It doesn't punish them. It punishes you. Her expression softens. That sounds like something my therapist used to say. I smile. Maybe she was right. Sarah sets her mug down and studies me. You've changed, Ethan. I had to, I say. The old me kept trying to fix what wasn't meant to be repaired. She tilts her head. And now? Now I build things that last. Her lips curve. Like us? Like peace, I say, then after a moment. And maybe us too. Her cheeks flush slightly in the firelight. You always find the poetic middle ground. I grin. Architects are trained to balance things, even hearts. We both laugh and it feels natural, unforced. After a while, she asks, do you ever think about what would have happened if none of it did? If Ryan and Lena never cheated? I finish for her. She nods. I take a deep breath. Then I'd still be living a lie. And maybe so would you. She looks at me thoughtfully. So, maybe everything had to break for this to exist. Maybe, I whisper. Maybe we were meant to be broken first. Her eyes glisten as the firelight flickers across her face. You said that like it's a promise. It is, I say. We fall quiet again. The kind of silence that doesn't demand words. It just breathes with you. A log cracks in the fireplace. Sparks rise and fade. After a while, she murmurs, Your parents called me yesterday. I look at her. They did? She smiles faintly. Your mom wanted to thank me for keeping you grounded. Your dad asked if you're finally sleeping. I laugh softly. I told them I'd be fine. Guess they didn't believe me. They do now, she says. I nod. They always worried I'd get lost in my work again. Well, she teases, at least now you have someone to remind you to eat and sleep. True, I say, and to steal the blankets at night. She smirks. Guilty. Her laughter fades into a comfortable sigh. Do you think we'll ever stop carrying it? The past? No, I answer honestly. But I think we'll carry it differently. Not like a wound, more like a scar we're not ashamed of. She nods slowly. I like that. The firelight dances on her face, soft and alive. I trace the edge of her fingers with mine. You know, I say quietly, for a long time, I thought revenge would fix me. And did it? She asks gently. I shake my head. No, it just cleared the noise so I could start hearing myself again. That's what healing sounds like, she says. I smile. I didn't even recognize it at first. She leans against me, her head resting on my shoulder. You do now, she whispers. The warmth of her skin against mine is steady, real. No illusion, no guilt, just presence. After a long pause, she says, You think they ever sit somewhere like this, wondering what they lost? Probably, I reply. But even if they do, it doesn't matter anymore. Because you won? No, I say. Because I let go. She exhales softly, the sound almost like relief. Minutes pass in silence, broken only by the soft crackle of the fire. She shifts closer, and I wrap an arm around her. The world feels smaller, quieter, like everything has finally settled into place. I used to believe pain destroyed people, I say softly. But now I think it just reveals who belongs beside you. She doesn't reply. Instead, her breathing slows, gentle and even. She's fallen asleep against me, her hair brushing my jaw. I look down at her, the flickering light turning every strand to gold. Maybe we were meant to be broken first, I whisper again. She stirs slightly, smiling in her sleep, as if she heard me somewhere in her dreams. I stare into the fire, watching the last embers glow. The sound is soft like a heartbeat. For the first time, it doesn't echo pain. It hums peace. The house feels alive again. Not haunted, not heavy, just home. I press a light kiss to Sarah's hair. Thank you, I murmur. Her fingers twitch, curling lightly around mine even in sleep. Outside, the night deepens. The wind moves through the trees, carrying whispers of the past that no longer sting. I close my eyes, letting the warmth wrap around me. The past no longer defines me. The pain no longer owns me. It only reminds me how far I've come, and who stayed when the fire finally went out. And as the last log cracks and fades, I realize something simple, something true. Peace doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows quietly beside the person who chooses to stay. And tonight, she's here, beside the fire, beside me.